Hello guys, welcome back to another video. I know that I have been uploading a lot more lately because I've been trying to keep a consistency of like maybe at least one video, maybe two, maybe if we're going there, 3 videos a week. But I am lazy. I got D&D and I got work, you know, all these different things. I took caffeine before this because I need to talk more, and we are reviewing the Unearthed Arcana for the new D&D 1 D&D. I actually do really like the name. I'm glad they're trying to make things a 1 edition only. This is supposed to be backwards compatible as well. I am fully disagree with how they said it, because we all know it's not gonna be backwards compatible. Do you really think you could go back to one of the first books and play the game normally anymore? No, it's not how that works with D&D, not how Wizards of the Coast does things. So it's gonna be a lot different. Either way, I am actually really excited to do into this, so I'm going to skim over a section and then we're going to talk about it. I'm going to pause the recording for that so you don't have to deal with me skimming over and reading stuff. But yeah, let's begin. I'll see you in the video. One thing I've read while looking at the determining your origin, the biggest change, and I think this is a very positive change to D&D Beyond, sorry, not D&D, 1 D&D, sorry, I use a lot of different stuff, is if you look right here, sorry, right down here, background trait. So your background determines your +1, +2, or your +1, +1, +1 ability score improvement that they seem to be going on right now. I think that's amazing. Instead of it tied to race, which I know they've tried to push away the whole racial stereotype stuff from D&D. And while there has been good and bad coming from that, I think this is a major improvement to the system that's going to help them fix a lot of things in the future. As well as the most common household rule, which I still use, which is a feat comes with your background. And that is a first level feat, to be fair. And by first level, it's not really a thing in D&D right now, but I think they're going to be making it a special thing to where like really easy, maybe even roleplay / mechanically not powerful feats will be first level feats. And as you get higher level stuff like Sentinel, which you probably fucking heard of. Sorry, I need to stop cussing in these videos. I want to get fucking monetized. And the Polo Master, stuff like that's going to be different level feats. You know, just really good. I love to see that improvement. Now, if we're talking about character race, what they're doing with that is good, bad. It's really hard to tell right now what they're going to be doing with it. Mostly it's the children of different humanoid races, the half race stuff, you know, half orc, half human, half elf, stuff like that. It seems like they're just washing that away, getting rid of it completely, and just telling you if you want to be a half elf and human, pick either the human or pick the elf. Pick their mechanics. Don't. There's no new ones for this middle race. And while I do see a problem with that, it's kind of what I've already been doing if someone wants to play like a half centaur, half orc. You know, I'm not going to give you both of those mechanics. I'm just going to tell you to pick one. But if you really, what I really do, not the most often, but it happens, is that I talk with the player and we ask, I ask him, what traits can we put into this creature that you would be satisfied with, but not clearly better than both other races? And that's the way I think it should be done. Now, but Wizards of the Coast, since they have the time and money, I think that each race should have a trait with a number beside of it. And that number should be, you know, depending on how strong it is. So when you make a middle race, say a half orc, half human, half orcs, so an orc and a human, you will be able to see a number, and when you create this new race, there should be a system called, and just going off just completely throwing it out here, base 10 system. So the human's trait of, which is in this book later, is inspiration. That should be like, I don't know, let's say that's 3. And the orc has a trait, which I know is called rage. And that rage allows them to like move at half their speed. And I think do damage with the proficiency. I really don't know, not top of my head, but maybe that should be a 5. I'm just throwing these numbers out. That sounds like you'd be able to get both traits, which I don't want to happen. But yeah, you'll be allowed to pick different things from each race until you reach this number cap. The only problem I see with this is that Wizards of the Coast is known for making a system and then not sticking to it, or completely forgetting about other abilities that could work with, you know, other things. There's plenty of examples, can't think of one off the top of my head that would make the most sense, but I could see stuff happening to where people would be picking like triple races, like, oh, I want to be a centaur, half orc human, and get these 3 abilities that would in combination be one of the most powerful races. That's of course always going to happen. There's not going to be much we can do about it as DMs, except just saying, yeah, I'm changing this ability from a 5 to a 7, so now you can't do that. Yeah, but I think that's a good way to make half races if Wizards of the Coast is listening, or maybe you think it's bad. Comment below with how you'd fix the system, because D&D is known for its character customization, and we want half races. I know we do. I know the community wants them. They don't want to just throw them away, because everyone likes to be special, and that's okay. Because I want to be special too, and I want to play my half orc, half human, and still be able to like have cool rage moments. I like to do basic shit. Either way, let's see what else there is. Let's go ahead and talk about the new race changes. I think that's gonna be great. Humanoids. So I noticed one thing that's just a little bit of flavor, but I love it. Lifespan of humans have increased from what I remember 70 to 80, which is just really cool. They do give some like sizes, like 4 to 7 feet tall, or if you're small humanoid, a 2 to 4. And I don't know how I feel about mechanics like that, only because I wish the height limit was a little bit more. You know, I get the small limit because, you know, small are small, but the height limit for medium creatures is 10 feet, or I guess 9.99 feet, you know, something like that. So that is a little different. But the new ability humans get is Resourceful, inspiration point whenever they finish a long rest. Now, I've been a huge fan of the lore of humans, and I know there's like I say the lore of humans, but I mean their race in general, not like their history and stuff like that. Is that humans are known, or at least in the Forgotten Realms, they're kind of seen by some other races as parasites, and I do see why. Because humans grow rapidly, their lifespan's very short, and they are, for some reason, very good at learning things very quickly. They're just known to adapt and overcome anything that's thrown at them. I know I was reading a book a long time ago. These elves were scared of humans for a little bit, because once they learned magic, the humans learned them like really fast. Like maybe a generation or 2 later, humans were doing the same thing as elves from generations or 2 as well, but your generations are almost, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost like 10 times as long. So yeah, proficiency, always great. Versatile. So I'm a little confused. So the humans just get another feat is what I'm seeing from this, and that's first level feat, by the way. So we don't know what that entails for the future. There's some feats below we're about to look at, but first level feats, again, if they're not mechanically and powerful and they're just like roleplay, you know, chef feat, then I'm all for humans becoming, you know, the feat monster as they should be, because they're, you know, they adapt and overcome very quickly to their environment. So whatever their humans grown up with, they'll be really skilled in. Now, Ardlings are a new race in D&D. And I think they are not, I think they're not expanded enough. Basically, they're supernatural beings from an upper plane or from somewhere else. They are animalistic in terms of features, looks-wise. But they have 3 different things. They have the Exalted, Heavenly, and Angelic. Either way, most of them are from like a celestial background in a way, giving a little bit of flavor to them. But the one thing they sort of, I guess, stutter at is not their lifespan, which is 200 years. That's, you know, that's great. with the angelic flight, because these are animals. They're not described as animals that can only animals that can fly or something like that. They're just described as very animalistic, which means could just be a frog with wings now. And whether they expand the race much more to make sense of that, them only having flying sounds a little weird. Maybe depending on the background, they could have different features. Perhaps maybe you could put like flying creatures in the heavenly, exalted for like maybe sharp claws or something, and Yellick for, you know, honestly, I was gonna say jumping higher, but that's really not a cool enough trait to give a whole race of people, or a sub race, I guess you would call them. Either way, I think they could do much better with that. They do get different things with their race, and it does suggest what kind of animal they are. But again, this bear can outfly, this dog can fly, raven can fly, toad can fly. It gives a nice buff, but hey. Who's the coast? If they just expand on the lore, maybe that'll be great. Again, Celestial Legacy represents, you know, it says chaotic good and stuff like that. It's just from the plane they're associated with. You can still make a lawful neutral character. They learn some cantrips, spells. I actually missed this the first time. They have damage resistance to radiant, and they do explain a little bit more of what they're about, but it's not enough. I think it's really cool still. I think they're going in the right direction. Now we're going to talk about Dragonborns, and this new edition of Dragonborns with a little bit of a history they've added into it, but it's kind of the same thing, really. You still got Bahamut and Tiamat right here. But I think the biggest change to these creatures is not their history, but their traits. And by their traits, I mean how powerful they have become. Not overpowered, but since everyone knows who Dragonborns are, if you're seeing this video, Dragonborns are dragon-like creatures made, there's not really a background. I think in older editions, they were like from a different plane. Once this plane was reborn, they kind of like just appeared here. But either way, we're not going to go to the history. I'm not a huge D&D lore nerd, so I don't know everything about them. But they are like dragon-like creatures, but minus the wings. Depends on, you know, some things. Either way, their breath weapon got a huge buff in terms of like damage, because it's based on character level now, which I think is really good for the Dragonborns, because who plays Dragonborns, in my opinion? Not that many. I think the only reason I played Dragonborns was for the coolness factor. My background or history for the character, or if I really wanted to be that person. I know there's a way with Dragonborns to get like resistance to almost half of the damage that you could take, you know, like not permanent, but like damage resistance. If they get to choose what kind of resistance they get based on the dragon you choose. And with some other stuff, you can be resistant to a lot of things. Dark Vision's the same, Draconic Language is the same. They have talked about the Dragonborns of many worlds across different material planes, I guess. Yeah. The material plane is a lot bigger than I really think sometimes. Sorry for that cut there. My headset fucking died. I guess there's no sound playing in my headset. It's just like, oh, no one's listening, so might as well just fucking cut off. Either way, yeah, Dragonborns, really great. Looking at everything they have, I think this is an overall improvement. One thing that just still irks me is they have dark vision, which, you know, I think they should, but a lot of races shouldn't. So that's just me complaining about something that's not even about this race. So don't mind me. On to the next one. Now, dwarves remain pretty much the same, but from what I've been hearing about the dwarves is that they're trying to make the dwarf race one race, and like one, how do you say this? One choice, I guess is the best way to say it. Like Durgar dwarves, hill dwarves or dwarves, mountain dwarves. I think there's a couple others there. I can't think of the top of my head, but I think if this represents all dwarves, I don't know how I feel about this. This is actually one I've been looking at and trying to think, like, what are they going for here? because that means all dwarves are resistant to poison, which I can get in a way. All dwarves have dark vision. That's something I can kind of get. Most dwarves do, I guess the stereotypical, always live underground and mountains and stuff like that. So I can kind of get the dark vision. All dwarves are good at forging. You know, it has been a stereotypical lore thing. Although I don't like it completely. But there are, you know, that's the thing. A DM could probably talk about how your dwarf is bad at forging and maybe you could change this trait for something else. Dwarf toughness. Now, this has been a thing with one of the dwarf rune races that make it really strong. And now that all dwarves have it, hey, you know, it is what it is. It doesn't seem bad. A good choice. I really can't tell you anything. The dwarves just have pretty much just stayed the same. They're just kind of like crunching them all into the very stereotypical dwarf race, at least for right now. I don't know if they plan on expanding the dwarf race, or if this is the only stat block, like, you know, only humans, only dwarves, no sub races, stuff like that. We will definitely see that in the future. I think that the elves have changed a lot. And by a lot, I mean, I think there's a few things the developers looked at what they've previously done with elves and just like, elves were pretty stacked. They had like, I think the highest form of like building tall in terms of mechanics. They had everything you really needed, especially with the trance trait that they've recently added, but they're getting rid of in this book, it seems like. Basically, sorry, elves, and they do have like, you know, different elves, drow, elf, wood. It's one race, but you do get to choose these like defining things. Like you get dark vision for this one. I mean, you get increased dark vision, my bad, and the new spell. So it's technically one race. You can just choose your, I guess it's called ancestral legacy or elven legacy in the lineage in this one. I'm thinking of Pathfinder, my bad. Either way, they keep their dark vision. They get to choose their lineage. They're still considered Fae in terms of this ability, but they're still humanoids, so they get affected by humanoid stuff. But the trance, you don't sleep. You don't need to sleep, and you can finish a long rest of 4 hours, but there's no talk of like gaining 2 proficiencies from a dead ancestor anymore, which I think is a huge thing to take away from the elves to make them back in line with the others. It just makes them a lot more grounded in this D&D reality instead of diving back into their ancestry, which I don't think the trance thing was a problem. I just think it made them too stacked. But I don't know much about the elf history. I actually really just don't like elves at all in terms of playing them very often. So I don't know much about their history and how connected they are to their past dead ancestors, even because they live for a long time. Either way, I want to get past them and go on to the gnomes next. I'm not gonna lie, the more I look at the other races like elves and gnomes and their lineage, how come dwarves don't have that? That would have been a perfect thing for the dwarves. Going back up here, I don't see anything for the dwarves. Dwarf of Many Worlds, Greyhawk. Why don't they have a lineage? That would be great for the dwarves, but it is what it is. But yeah, let's talk about the gnomes in particular. They pretty much stayed the same, besides, you know, the new lineage dividing them up into forest, gnome, rock, or rock. Gaining a few different abilities, like for the rock gnomes, they have mending and prestidigitation, because I think the rock gnomes are known for making... Sorry, I just had a little burp there. For making things more so than the others, and gnomes are known for their trickery, hard work, and cunningness, you know, stuff like that. Giving them gnomish cunning, of course, advantage to saving throws from the 3 mental abilities. But gnomes, unrelatively changed. I'm happy for it. I think this is the last one, halflings. Oh, no, we still got a few more, but after that, I'm gonna have to divide this video into 2 parts talking about the rest of it. Let's talk about the halflings now. So those are very similar to the dwarves in terms they did have sub races, but there weren't, in my opinion, the sub races weren't defining enough to be different. They all kind of seem like to blend into the same thing. So when they combine them here without giving them a lineage, I'm not too sad to see them go. Although again, the more the better, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. They still got you know, nimbleness and the luck trait, which is luck traits. You know, it's always really good. Everyone loves the luck trait. It's just never rolling a nat 1 in your entire life, which is great to happen. It's funny when it happens twice, though. I'll say that. I don't remember if Brave was a thing. I'm pretty sure Brave was on one of the halfling races, but I don't know if it was on all of them. Naturally stealthy, yeah. It's just, you know, they stayed the same. I don't think there's any change to them in terms of life. Actually, I think the 150 years, that doesn't sound... No, I think that sounds right. Yeah, never mind. Halflings stayed the same. And actually, I can move on to the orc right now. So, since there's no half orcs in this, the orcs pretty much just stayed the exact same. There's no trade. Again, they have the adrenaline rush that I was talking about earlier, but take a dash is a bonus action, but you gain a number of temporary hit points. That was the difference. I forgot. Orcs living 80 years. That is actually interesting. That's something I didn't know. And since we're here, we can move on to there's not much change to the orcs either. And I want to move on to the halflings as well, because again, these three races seem to be relatively the same. The only thing different about the halfling races, not halfling, shit, tiefling, is that their new lineage is abyssal, chthonic, and infernal. Chthonic is more of an underworld, which, you know, kind of sounds very similar to me to an infernal, but, you know, I don't know the difference between... I know the infernal and abyssal, but everything else seems to say the same. Again, their lineages are tied to what they get for their ability, whether it's resistance to poison, necrotic, or fire, and a few different spells, as well as what associated alignment they get. But again, that's just suggestive. That's something you have to go by at all. They still get dark vision. Yeah, they live for 100 years, which is actually longer than humans now. I think they live the same as humans, but now they live a little longer. So, hey, I think that's actually a small improvement, even though it will change absolutely nothing about your game, probably ever. But yeah, it stayed the same. That's pretty much all the races. So next video I'm going to be doing, I'm probably going to be talking about the rest of this, because I have a few opinions on some of the things in this book that are going to be a lot more criticizing Wizards of the Coast and agreeing with them, or just saying, hey, good job. I'm going to be working on a more technical video as well for that. So that might take a little longer to come out. I'm not sure, but hey, maybe it'll be done by the end of the week. So I want to thank y'all for watching. This is just to criticize the races a little bit and talk about them. But again, I'm a very critical person. Check out my other videos. I'm going to start throwing out ones every once in a while now. So go back and look at my terrible videos and laugh at me. I'll see you guys maybe later in the week.